So have you made any progress figuring out what you're doing with your spinner?
There's a lot going on in my head. So, but I think I know what I'm going to do, which I'm sure there are a lot of people won't agree with, but I'm going to try some things.
It's experimental, you know?
Yeah, if you look at it that way, then what I'm going to do is fine. But I'm sure the purists will think I'm screwing up. What it is I have a Sonex prop spinner.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to use it. It's kind of cool, depending on how you want to make your plane look. I think I'm going to go for that 1930s industrial look.
Oh, cool. Okay.
More importantly, that's what I have.
That works.
However, the reason I was asking about the distance as well is because I think that after phase 1 and when I'm ready to make it look pretty, I might install the spinner, that a regular spinner like most people see on the plane. One of the issues from a building point of view is that the spinner is listed anymore. At least it's not listed on any website. So, you know, going with UHS seems like the best, easiest thing for a guy that's, you know, doesn't feel like fabricating or making huge modifications to a generic spinner. Because you can order that UHS spinner and make it, and they can make it work for you. And they can, you know, make cutouts for the propeller and everything. So that's what I'm going to do. Someday, maybe, if I decide to go that far. But back to the point, it is experimental. So I just want to get it flying. And then if I want to make it look pretty, then I'm going to spend like several months or a year fixing everything up and getting it painted or saving up money to get it painted, stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, here's the spinner.
Yeah, I just pulled it up on their website. So it's actually a machined piece. Do you actually bolt the prop on through those? Ah, okay.
So what's great about this is if you are just a guy that wants to get a plane in the air, zero fabrication.
Yep.
If you read the Tony Vangelis books, he has a whole chapter on how you take a spinner and measure everything and line it up and use cardboard cutouts and everything. But if I just want to get this thing flying,
yep.
In fact, I've already bolted my prop on. The only reason my prop isn't on right now is because I don't want to damage it. So I put it back in the box and put it back in my storage area. Because I'm still doing so much work up there, I don't want to damage the prop.
Or yourself as you walk around it, you know.
Yeah, true. And I don't have a big shop either. So anyway, it was a great idea. Now, it doesn't look that as pretty as or it's not as, you know, it doesn't look like the other spinners. But
it's kind of cool, though.
Okay. Yeah. And, you know, the thing with the bolt holes and this is like, if I'm thinking about that 1930s industrial look that I said, you know, if I have no problems, if I show off the rivets, show off the bolt heads, show off, you know, all this industrial looking machining stuff, maybe have a polished aluminum finish or silver finish, it might look okay. It might look kind of cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
But just to get it up in the air, this is probably what I'm going to use and not worry about the spinner until phase 2, you know, after I get the first 40 hours from. Then we'll see.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's one of those that you can swapping out fuel tanks after a year, not fun. So swapping a spinner, not a big deal, you know? So I would say, hey, it's Adrian. How's it going, Adrian?
Yeah, mate, how's things?
Yeah, good to see you. It's been a while. You're not going to see you at AirVenture this year.
No, not this year.
Oh, man.
No, maybe next year.
Yeah.
Be 2021 before I get back there.
Did you get a refund on your plane tickets or anything? Or?
Yeah, I got full refunds and stuff on all tickets. So I was supposed to go back to the UK first and then head over to Oshkosh afterwards. But yeah, no, we did a round the world ticket last time. We're going to do the same again this time. But unfortunately, with everything the craziness that's going off in the world, that's all put a stop to it. So
yeah, bummer. Well, it's all right. We got a couple new faces, it looks like. So cool.
All right, good.
We were just talking about spinners on Norm's CX5 that he's building there. He's been asked him on the forum a little bit. So
yeah,
fancy spinner.
Yeah, it's a Sonex one. I didn't know that they had a machined one, so that's pretty cool. And you can use it as a crush plate too, it says, so that's kind of cool.
I have a little story to tell you about it. I mean, I mentioned it earlier for the builders out there. Like I said, the materials list shows a manufacturer for it, but when you go to the materials list, it's all changed. Key Ferro, then they say there's a website that says go to Sonex Limited. You go to Sonex Limited or whatever, or LLC, and it says go to Sonerai or whatever. It just and when you finally get to the site that's supposed to sell it now, it's not listed. Maybe their website hasn't been updated. But the point I'm making is that out of frustration or just because I thought it was cool and it wasn't that expensive, I got this.
Yeah.
So in fact, I think when I do phase 1, I'm probably going to fly it without wheel pants. Real basic. That came out of a discussion with my tech counselor. He actually had a damaged wheel pan on his RV7. And anyway, when the issue came up, he said, "Hey, Norm, just do your flight testing. Don't worry about the wheel pants. And when the time comes and you got plenty of time, you're making it pretty, then put the wheel pants on."
Yeah, get in there. Yeah, it's good advice. How's Adrian? You're building the CX4. How's that coming along?
Yeah, it's getting there slowly, bit by bit. I would show you, but I'm not near the garage at the minute. So, but yeah, it's coming along slowly. Wings are done. Building the center section at the moment. Fuel tank's done. Engine mounts done. Bulkheads are all done. Longerons are done. So it's coming there. It's getting there slowly,
Very
bit by bit.
Very good. Yeah, that's all right. I know we were talking last year. You were weren't you putting in? You were doing something with your fuel tank. You were like raising it up a couple inches to get an extra gallon or two.
I was going to extend it out and make it slightly bigger. Put like an extra bit on it to try and get some extra fuel in. That's because Australia is so big. You need some more space. You need more fuel to get somewhere. So
yeah, I just
a lot further apart.
My son and I just watched a movie. It was on Amazon Prime. If you're a Prime member, it's free to watch. It was called Flyabout. Have you seen that one?
Okay.
It was kind of like I don't want to say like a whole movie. It's a little better than that, but I mean, it was good. It was like an hour and a half, but it was this kind of mid-20s girl decided she wanted to get her pilot's license. She was living in California at the time. Mm-hmm. And her dad, I think she grew up in the UK or something, but her dad then said, she told her parents and she thought they'd be freaking out. And her dad's like, I always wanted to get my pilot's license. So he got his. And then the two of them took their mom and the brother, I guess. The four of them went and teamed up with like 6 other airplanes and they flew the coast of Australia all around. It was really cool.
That's one of my things that once my CX4's finished, that is one of my things to do, to fly all the way around Australia. It's about 75 hours to fly around.
I think that's what I was saying. Yeah, she was saying something like she had 140 hours of flight when she landed down there, and they rented a 172, and they put on another. She like almost half again her time, like 70 or 80 hours flight time. So
yeah,
kind of cool.
Yeah. It's a big place.
Yeah, it was good. It was, you guys, if you look it up, it's called Flyabout. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I'll have a look at that. Definitely.
It's probably done in, like recorded in the mid. Probably like 2005 or so, something like that. So it's not super old, but it was a good movie.
That down. On Amazon Prime, you say?
Yeah, Prime. So just it's like Walkabout but Flyabout. So yeah, it was kind of good.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, we're a couple minutes after our start time. It looks like people are drifted in. So morning, I'm Ben Carlson, and a bunch of us have been talking already for a few minutes, and see some faces that I know, like I see Bert and Norm and Greg and Rob and stuff from the last few weeks, and a few new faces. Wes, I see you on there, and so welcome everybody, and thanks for joining. So again, kind of like the last couple of weeks, don't really have a big agenda or anything. We were talking about Norm's spinner, just some things from the forum. So if anybody has any questions or issues, I know Greg and I had talked yesterday a while about the CX7. There's some discrepancies on the blueprints where the firewall meets the fuselage, so we can talk about that a little if you guys are interested. Or But I thought maybe Bert and Norm, since you guys have built the CX5, we can kind of show you what we're looking at, and you might have some insight into how the dimensions look right on the CX5, and so we can kind of compare on there if you want to, or not. We can do other things too. So I know there's been some questions about engines and other things.
Plans for the CX7 hand drawn, or are they machined, or how are they?
Yep. So the CX7 plans are hand drawn, just like the 5 and the 4. So since I'm producing the parts, I'm converting those over into CAD. And so my process has been to take the drawings and basically scan them and then redraw like the bulkheads and the wing ribs and that sort of thing. And actually I got my screen share working, so I can I'll pull this up here in a couple minutes and show you kind of my process. But
you'll get some good dimensions then.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I haven't done for time, my goal was to basically be producing parts, right? But I think what I need to do is step back and actually model the entire airplane. Not necessarily every nut and bolt and rivet, but all the holes for everything. Right. My original goal is simply I need to get this fuselage done for AirVenture, so I wanted to just get bulkheads done as much as I could, just pump out parts quickly. But now I'm seeing that there's some things where there's discrepancies, so it'd be much easier if I had a full model of the airplane, then I could go in and see where things match up or don't match up. So,
well, if you're going to match drill on the CNC, you're going to have to do that.
Yep. So some things I don't have to. Actually, here, let me just do this. I'll just share my screen quick, and we can kind of walk through some of this. Let's see. I'm just going to share Fusion, and I can show you kind of where. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm missing some of my menus here. Okay, you know what? Let me stop share and restart Fusion, and we'll try this again because it looks like something's messed up with it. I'm not getting my one menu. But whoops, did I? Okay, no. Thought I did something else. That I closed the meeting, but yeah, I can show you. There's some things that I can get match hold without doing a full model, where there's different bulkheads that overlapped, or different pieces of the bulkheads and things like that. So I can definitely speed up assembly. But where the skins come into the bulkheads, that's where I need to have that full assembly. So, but anyways, all right, let me try firing it up again here. Yeah, Fusion 360 is not always friendly if you leave it running for a day or two. So, all right. So let's see here. This will take a minute or so to pull up. Here we go. Okay. You can see here, let me get rid of this here. So you can see what I'm doing is behind this, you can see there's the print, right? So you can see the spacing and rivets and different things. And so what I'm doing is I'm pulling this in and doing the tracing, and then I can go back and let's see here. Why am I not seeing my bodies? Design. Okay. Anyhow, but yeah, what we were looking at yesterday is on this print. Let me go in here, edit this. Oops. On this print, you'll see on this side there's a dimension of 14 inches here. Let me do this. Let me make this full screen. See this 14-inch dimension here? Okay, so what this is this shows it's from the top of the angle aluminum that mounts to the firewall on the top to the top of the, let's see, it'd be the bottom of the bottom angle that mounts to the firewall. The problem is if we go over to the, oh, here, I'm gonna have to share my, share my screen differently here. Let me just share my whole desktop up there. Okay, when we go to the blueprints here, this is the 5. Let's see, let's go to 7. If we go to the, was it 11? Yeah, fuselage. Look at this, you'll see there's a 14-inch dimension here, but this is from the, it contradicts the other drawing. So if we go to the CX5, this dimension is 14 3/16, which would be what we would expect based on the other drawing. So basically, Norm and Bert, I thought we'd just double check with you guys to see if that seemed correct. Anyways, but yeah, so if you want to see, this is the process for doing this. Let me pull up some of these other bulkheads that, like here, I think this might be a good one to show. Yeah, turn off my cam, turn on my bodies here. Oh, hold on. So like, yeah, so like here's my blank and my form block. So you can see this is, so when you're, you know, basically bolt those together and pound over the flanges, right? It's pretty straightforward. There were a couple of these that, let's see, 32 blank, top blank, side blank. So this is where we were talking about match hole. So this piece here, this one in blue, this one is used on both sides. So I'm only doing that once, but all these rivet holes here where they mount together, those are all matched, right? So they go, you know, right through all those the pieces. So I can make this whole assembly really quickly. And actually, I think I did the F7 is already assembled in the shop. But yeah, so that's good. The issue that I have is when you form these edges, getting the holes pre-drilled there. That's the trick where I need to have that whole aircraft model in order to get pick up those holes properly. So, but yeah, kind of interesting. So. Anyways, that's my show and tell.
Do you export them in DXF files then, and then convert them into G code, or? No,
so DXF is a file format for CAD, right? And so because I'm using it right in Fusion, I just directly export to CAM, to G code. So what I do is there's a manufacturer tool or view, and so I can go in here and pick up my different. I can just show you here in a sec once it loads.
So you don't have to take it as a 2D file. You can just convert straight into G code.
Yep, exactly. So it's always a 3D, three-dimensional drawing or body.
So is that an STL file?
No, STL would be different too. So Fusion has its own file format.
Right.
But if I were to export this as a solid body, I think I'd use a step file, or IGES, I think is the other format that are kind of universal. I could put that into SolidWorks or something else. So, yeah.
I just checked over the plans on CX5. The dimensions on the frame is actually 14 inches at the firewall, top to bottom. But there's little pieces that you bend down, and those 14 and 3/16 inch, the pieces that you cut and bend down.
Yeah, where the aluminum angle for the bottom longeron, where it bends up and goes up, but then it bends down flat. You cut that notch and.
Right, they call it a duckbill or something that they bent down, and that's 14 and 3/16. But the actual cross piece, the actual square is actually 14 inches top to bottom.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so that's what we were we were looking at, and it wasn't quite working out. Okay, so let's see here. Let's go to this. So yeah, so I can come in here, and I think I just have to. I can simulate this. Oops. Material. Tail my tool path. Transparent holder. Turn it to front. So this will just show you the how the machine does its cutting, and it's way slower than this though on the actual machine. This is sped up for, but yeah, this is basically.
Oh, you're just using a router, right?
Yep. For this, I'm using just a CNC router. So yep. And yeah, I think it'll estimate how long this actually takes, and but it takes about twice as long as the estimate, just based on just a couple things with my spindle speed and stuff. So I run at about 18,000 RPM, and yeah. So, but yeah, so that's that. So,
Cool.
so then off of this, I have the F11, and then all the pieces. So this is the F11 bulkhead. And then these other 4 pieces are the F7. They combine to form the F7 bulkhead. So, yep. So that's kind of my process there. So.
Hey Ben, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm planning to do almost the exact same thing as you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to use SolidWorks.
Sure.
How are you scanning the plans? Like, I figured I would just take pictures with my DSLR.
So I'm taking them to the local office store, and
Okay.
they have a large format scanner. The only issue I've had is I've had them scanned about 6 times, and they had dimensional inaccuracies. And so just kind of watch that, like check, like what I would do is take the original plans and draw dimensional marks in multiple directions at multiple spots on them. So you can make sure once you import them into SolidWorks, you can, what do you call it? You can calibrate your drawing to the proper,
Right.
yeah. So, but yeah, it works pretty good. So.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, this is just how I'm doing it. It doesn't mean this is the gospel way of doing it. It just seemed like it made sense to me. So, yeah. But yeah, like I said, as I'm finding out, there's some dimensional inaccuracies on those plans. So I need to spend more time talking with Dave and working through that. So. But.
Do you use your CNC router for your form blocks too?
Yeah, I do. So, yep. Yeah, it works pretty good. So just makes a lot of dust. So make sure you have a good dust.
Do you do it in one pass with the? Do you use MDF and do you do it in one pass, or do you do it in multiple passes?
I've done it both ways. I'm trying. Actually, I just got to order in with some new bits. I'm trying some solid carbide with a different coating for the MDF. So MDF just chews up bits pretty bad. It's really abrasive with the glue. So yeah, I've tried it. Right now, I think most of the ones I'm doing it in 3 passes, and mainly because I had run across a good deal on some downcut spiral bits, and of course downcut pushes the chips down, which leaves a really nice edge on the top, but your chip evacuation doesn't exist. So I did 3 passes on that. But yeah, I think with these new ones, I'm going to try and do it again with just single pass. I'm using 1/4-inch bits. They're pretty robust. So
yeah,
but
cool.
Yeah. Anyways, so.
Ben, this is Doug from Alexandria. Can you hear me okay?
Hey, Doug. Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, I didn't know it's the first time I've been on a webcast, so thank you for being patient with me. Just switch gears over here. I'm taking a bunny trail. Do you make the control sticks for both the CX4s and the CX5s?
So I do not. So what I'm doing is mainly the aluminum, panels, that sort of thing, and assemblies. I am doing the nose gear, but any of the weldments need to go through Ed Clepis, which he is out east. And his info, let me pull up here.
While you're doing that, I've got a CX4, one of the first ones built, a little over 100 hours on it. And
oh, cool.
I noticed Glenn Bradley was saying that his was getting a little loose and mine's getting a little loose, and I tightened it up. And I know I think David put bushings in some of them after the first few, and I don't have bushings in mine, so I'm probably the point I need to replace it and put one with bushings in it.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I think so. It shows engine mounts are available from Ed. I believe he's doing all of the weldments. That'd be engine mounts. Some of the it'd be like the elevator. Trying to think.
Horn or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the other some of the other bits and pieces. Trying to think what.
I got an email from him last night, and the engine mount, he's good on that because it's the same from the 5 to the 7. And the elevator control horn, he said he was good on. And as far as the rudder pedals and stick, he still has to get drawings from Dave for that, but he does plan on doing that.
Okay.
And does anybody know offhand, is the elevator control horn the same from the 5 to the 7? If so, I'm sure he's up to speed and ready to go with that, obviously.
Yeah, well, Dave said that the tail section, the whole empennage area is the same, so it should be identical. Yeah, I haven't verified looking at the 7 and the 5 plans, but it should be. It looks like it is.
Okay, that was Ed. What was his last name again? I'll send him a message. And
here, it's right on the Thatcher CXR. This is Dave's website. If you go to the parts, it's Ed Kleepus of Tech Welding.
Kleepus, okay.
Yep, the information's right on this. Or am I sharing my screen still? Oh, here, I'm not sharing my screen. Duh. All right, give me a sec. Let me do that, and there you go. Try that. And Greg, to your point, if the engine mounts are the same, then that answers the question about the dimensions, right?
Yeah, as far as how the engine mount, bolts to the firewall. And I did talk to Dave yesterday on that. And Ed Kleepus also reiterated that he had talked to Dave. So, I mean, I think I've heard that enough times now that that sounds legit.
Yeah.
So it looks like Ed Kleepus's company, yeah, it's Tech Welding. His website is techweldingky.com. I think he's located in Kentucky, maybe.
Paducah.
That's it.
There we go. Okay, cool.
Yeah, the About Us that
Right.
shows Ed actually.
Oh, okay. There you go.
And that's the, yep.
Okay,
Good. Cool.
thanks for that.
What is the MAAE fly-in? Mid-America Alternate Engine Fly-in. Huh, cool. 2010, 2011. Interesting. Cool. So.
And then the other thing I was going to ask is there's been some communication now lately about carb ice. And of course, I'm up in Minnesota, and I get every once in a while, not so much the same thing Glenn was getting for indications of carb ice in flight and takeoff, but once in a while when I back my RPM down to about 2,800, which I like to cruise with an 1835 VW Great Plains engine, and I'll get a little chug, just a little chug every once in a while, and then it clears up and goes again. Does anybody have any idea what that is, or if that's carb ice or something else? It's almost like a little miss. It doesn't make, and then it goes away. It doesn't, it just kind of gets your attention for a minute.
Yeah, in my experience flying, there's a lot of wind flying. When I had carb ice, the RPM would just start dropping off. And as far as the engine, I don't think that's really recovered. That makes sense? I'm not hearing anybody.
Hey, Bert, you were breaking up pretty bad for me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
Okay, when I was flying in winter and I experienced carburetor icing, the RPM would just start slowly going away. It was plug up the intake, and when I had misses, it was something unrelated to carb ice. Yeah, did that come through?
Yeah, that came through good. So yeah, sounded like the carb ice was kind of a progressive degradation in power and performance versus if you had a miss once in a while, that was more of a maybe water in the fuel or
some
something
issue.
like that.
Could be water in the fuel. Could be anything loose in the ignition.
Yeah. Okay.
That would cause a
Grounding
problem.
issue or something maybe, or loose, vibrating wires.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Does that help, Doug?
Yeah, I just was wondering if everybody had experience with it, because it seems like it's weather related. I can go along for quite a while and not have it happen, but just like anything else in flight, little things become big things in your head.
Yeah.
There was also mention of that Molex connector pin loose issue.
Did you follow that, Doug? Glenn was having some issues with his,
No, I didn't.
Glenn was having issues. If you go back on the forum ways, he was having some misses due to his
Molex
coils.
connectors.
It was the Molex connectors on the coils or something, I think, right?
Yeah.
And
The low voltage leads to the coils?
I think that's what it was. And so there were some recommendations on switching them to something else. I don't remember what it was, but once he switched them, everything I think has been fine. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Another
I'll go back
idea
and look at
is
that.
when I had a simple ignition system, I got a miss because of a bad corrosion between the capacitor and ground, and that caused a miss like that. Just an idea.
Okay.
Makes
The
sense.
capacitor in the coil itself, or the magneto itself?
Yeah, in the ignition system, there's a condenser, a capacitor, and it was in a housing. And over time, the fitting of the capacitor in the housing corroded, and it was losing the ground. Did that come through?
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay.
That thread, they pointed to a connector like this. It was from a place called All Electronics, and it looks like it's made by Delphi, but a place called allelectronics.com. And you can look that up in that thread where that was mentioned, but that was the gist of it. This is kind of like a weather sealed, more positive contact pin type of thing, but it's all in that thread on groups.io.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, Bert, on that capacitor, can you put dielectric grease on that to solve the corrosion problem?
Yeah, that would be a great solution. In my case, I started replacing ignition components one at a time, and when I changed the condenser, it made good contact, and I was okay.
Yeah, I'd put some dielectric grease on the screw, okay, and on the connection.
And that sounds really good.
Cool.
Well, you do it on spark plugs, so you might as well do it there.
Yep. Good point. So. Well, cool. What other questions do people have that we can discuss? And
hey, on the control stick, are you bending those, or are they welded, or what? How it is on the plans?
On the planes, I believe they're welded. I'm not manufacturing those for resale. I'll make them for my planes, but for the planes I'm building. But
well, somebody did that on a tube bender, and they were pretty neat.
Yeah, I could bend them. I have a hydraulic tubing bender, so I could bend them, I suppose. But I know Ed is. I believe he's doing the control sticks. I believe they're welded up. So, yeah.
Yeah, if they're doing it the same way David did. David, for a while, did some original ones, and mine's from David Thatcher way back years ago. But they're all welded. It looks like it's almost little 3/8 inch plumbing steel pipe or something. But what happens is the bolt that goes through it from the bottom of the stick that actuates, of course, the rudder and the ailerons, that just starts getting sloppy inside the pipe. There's not enough metal there. So, I put grease in there and tighten it up a little, and It's just over time. I probably got a little over 200 landings on it, so it's probably time to just tighten her up or do a little better, get some more metal in there, something somehow. Not replace the whole thing.
Could you insert a Delrin or some kind of plug and then drill the hole through and solve that problem?
No, but that's a good answer. It's unfortunately it's a lot of work to take them out, and been kind of putting it off, thinking, well, maybe I'll just replace the whole unit if he makes one. But then again, yeah, if there's enough meat left in the pipe, the horizontal pipe, which I think takes most of the wear, to do that, that would certainly take some stress off that thin wall pipe.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be good. Cool.
Other than that, it's a great little plane. I've had it for a few years now. I'm number 52 on the serial numbers, so I've been flying it every few weeks just to go up to have fun. I don't do cross country in it. I know the gentleman there from Australia, I think that's a great idea, and I give you a lot of credit if you're going to circumference Australia on that. I hope you do it in the morning when it is too bumpy, but great.
That's the plan, is just to do a couple of hours every day. Maybe
Yeah.
2 hours land and then another 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little short.
After 2 hours,
Be a long time.
you need to get up and take a little break.
Yeah, I need a toilet break anyway.
Yeah. Funny. So who's working on what this morning in their shop? Norm, you're out in your shop.
Yeah, I installed the ELT yesterday.
Oh, okay.
But I don't have the batteries for the remote or for the audio alert indicator. So I ordered those, and once they come in, I'll mount that. I hope I don't lose. If I lose you guys, I apologize, because I'm going to take this off of power, and this is an old battery. But yeah, I don't know. Let me see if you can see that. No, maybe not. Can you see that?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the ELT next to the battery back here. So that's what I did. And the other big one is, I'm sure you guys have seen my issues with the windshield. Let me turn the lights on. Yeah, my windshield retainer was already built. And let me see if you can see that. Anyway, my windshield retainer was already built. Holes were this was done by the previous builder.
Okay.
It looked great, but when you try to use the, I don't know if I cut it wrong or what, probably. I cut it so that the canopy would be exactly the way I wanted it, but then the remainder was a little bit short. So my advice is, if you want to use the front of your bubble canopy as your windshield, do that, make it fit the way you want, and then do the windshield retainer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my original windshield retainer and just cut it off at this other end, and I'll probably plug these holes. So anyway, it'll work, and it'll look nice. You can see that it doesn't look that bad.
Oh, you went on mute, Norm.
Am I there now?
There you go. Now I can hear you.
Did you guys not hear me the whole time?
Oh, I heard most of it. Just the last little bit. When you shut your canopy, you must have bumped the mute button.
Yeah. Anyway, I figured it'd be better to have a tight fit, and then if it's too tight, I can cut away some acrylic than to have too loose of a fit and not have enough acrylic. So yeah. It's a little tight. I'm going to trim it a little bit more, but it's pretty much fitting the way I like.
Cool.
So
that's good.
My exhaust just came in from Ed Clepus. So you can see that part, and here's the front part. And the reason it's not on is I have to modify my engine baffles to make the exhaust fit. So that's going to be on, that's on the list as well. So yeah, I'm making progress. And
Cool.
you know, everything works, or so far everything seems to be working okay.
Good. That looks good. Cool. I see Harold
That
put
looks
something in
great.
the chat here. Asks, did we see his post from last night about his canopy track coming out of the track after landing? Any suggestions? Anybody have that issue? Maybe on the CX4, I believe. So the track when you slide the canopy back.
No, that's
Can you
not
hear me?
happened to me. It's got to be kind of a rare event. Those are pretty stout cabinet drawer hinges or rollers.
Yeah.
What,
Harold,
did
was
it
it
go out the back?
a hard landing
Yeah.
or?
No. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, what it was after, this is a thing with these Lowe's sliding door tracks, I understand, but they've got these rubber seals inside of them with rollers on them. And it was as I was taxiing to the hangar, grass strip, of course, right at the hangar, I opened the door, or opened the canopy and slid it back, and the right track came, or the canopy came to the right out of the track assembly. So I thought that I might have lost one of those slide rubbers that are on top and bottom of the track. And I've had issues with I've called Dave on this. I had issues with my canopy tracks before. And what I had to do is find the manufacturer and had to buy them directly from them for about $20. But I needed the roller slides. They don't seem to stay in on mine. And I just wondered if anybody else had that problem. What I was going to do is go out today and with a big channel lock and see if I could maybe swedge the track down or somehow tighten it up a little. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, is this, I mean, these are just some that I bought a long time ago for actual cabinets, not for the canopy and for the CX4, but is this the style that you're using where they're ball bearings and that
Yes,
sort of thing?
that's it. And they're $20
Yeah.
now, and they're the 22-inch tracks. And what it is if you'll notice the bottom view, that is what is attaching to there you go. That attaches to the airplane. Then you take slide assembly, the top track, and slide that in. There's a set of approximately 8-inch length rubber inserts that go in there with ball bearings that are embedded in that rubber. And that's what moves the front and back part. And I thought that I lost one of those tracks. So I had to replace it one time before. And so I went and I got my old tracks from my old canopy as spares, and I was going to try to replace all of them.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. All right. So no one else has had that issue. Yeah, those. I mean, the ones I got there, I use them for the drawers in my shop. I have, I don't know, like 20 drawers or something that I built a couple 4 or 5 years ago, and yeah, I mean they're heavy. I put, probably at least 50, 60 pounds in there, and doesn't bother them at all. So I don't know. I'm surprised that you're having issues with those, because in order to disconnect them, you have to pull some little tabs, I think, almost, right? So.
Not what you got. There's two. You have to safety wire the back part to keep it from sliding off the rails all the way back. But if I may, that canopy is sort of the weakest part of the plane, is because it's so thin. You don't want to mess with that plexiglass. You don't want to open that canopy anytime while you're taxiing or anything, because as it fluctuates back and forth, I've talked to several guys that have had before, and it cracks at the very front bottom to where it's attaching that rail. And what I did was I put 2 diamond reinforcement plates inside and outside to strengthen up that part. But I would have thought if there was a chance, I would make it a flip open canopy.
Okay.
That way you couldn't possibly, you don't want to have it inadvertently coming open in flight, or the vibration, it's so thin, you don't want to crack it.
Yeah.
Just open it to the side one way or another with a chain holding it for some support. But that's my thoughts.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben, we had discussed having possibly a meetup somewhere on the road.
Yeah.
Have you guys given that any thought?
Haven't too much. I saw your note about your EAA chapter, and that you have a couple of other Thatcher aircraft around in that area. So
Yeah.
Bert's over near St. Louis, Missouri, which is generally central in the states here. But I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that getting together in a couple months. I don't know, whenever this whole stay-at-home stuff is kind of over and everybody's ready to get out and look at airplanes.
Hey guys, this is Norm. I live in Vegas. Everybody loves Vegas. One, you guys got to come out here, bring the wife, bring your plane. We'll make it a party, okay? I got a pool. I got a couple cars. I can let you borrow one. So come out here. We'll do some flying and we'll do some building.
Nice. Norm,
Sounds
I'll bring
good.
my wing, and we could be up and flying with I think if we combine my project and your project, we'd be good to go here pretty quick.
There you go.
Yep.
The temperature in Vegas in the summer is questionable.
Yeah, that's true. Just come in the spring or in the fall. I mean, right now it's in the 90s, and I'm having a pool party tomorrow. So this time of year is okay.
That was
I tell you, you all can come up.
morning, so.
You all can come to Minnesota too. We're 28 degrees we're supposed to get tonight. That'd be nice and cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in Minneapolis.
We're getting 84 in Seattle today.
Yeah, in St. Louis, it's 67, sunny. It's like that all the time.
Except for the last time I drove
I'll
through St. Louis, when it was pouring rain when we were trying to go check out the arch. But I mean, otherwise it's sunny and 7 year round, right?
Sometimes.
Funny.
Who's in Minneapolis? I just overheard that a little bit.
Jeff Coffey. Yeah, I'm in Minneapolis. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm up in Alexandria, Minnesota, Jeff. What are you building?
The CX-5.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'd like to come up and see it sometime. I've got a Sonex that's flying in Alexandria. That'd be a nice flight up there in the Sonex. So
Absolutely. Come on up. Let me know. I love that CX-5. I flew the first one with Glenn down in Pensacola. I guess this was a few years ago now. I really liked it. That's going to be a fun plane. You're going to really enjoy it.
Nice. Yeah, I had the chance to visit Glenn, but we didn't have weather for flying. But I had the chance to sit in it at least, which was great. He was really gracious. I don't know if we finished with answering Harold's question. Harold, I think on your canopy, I don't have any experience with the sliding canopy, but that with my Sonex with that side hinged canopy, you got to be careful with that around when you're just moving around the airport, with prop blast or, I always have to close my canopy when I'm feeling up if there's any wind and stuff, because it's real floppy hanging out there. And I think we had talked about this a week or two ago. I'm already on my third canopy on the Sonex, and I don't ever want to do a fourth one. But that's the one downside of those sort of side hinged canopies is you got to be careful with those things hanging out there. I've always been jealous of the guys with the sliding canopies, but.
So Jeff, on your CX-5, that's a side opening canopy. Is that what you're going to do? Or are you going to change up the design?
Ben, I'm out of my garage. I don't have a great connection out here, so you were breaking on me there.
No worries. I think my connection's kind of bad here too. But no, I was the CX-5 you're building has a side opening canopy. Are you staying with that design, or are you going to change it to something else?
I'll probably stay with it, but that's a long ways off. So we'll see if anybody comes up with anything brilliant between.
I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
I've seen Rob Flood's CX5 in Arizona. Plus, I talked to John Elizalde in California, and both of them have or plan to use welded steel as a canopy frame. And the good thing about that is it's really, really solid. Nothing's going to flop around once you use steel, and it's because it's not very flexible compared to aluminum, as is in the original design. The bad thing, although it's not a huge deal for some people, is its weight. Rob Flood, like I said, used welded steel for his canopy frame, and it's so heavy that he uses one of those gas spring shock absorber type things.
Like for the hatch on your SUV or something, right? Yeah. Okay.
It is solid. So what I'm getting at is if you're really concerned about your canopy flopping around and you don't like the current design, that's what happens. A lot of guys don't like how floppy it is. Then use welded steel or steel and it'll be fine. It won't move at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely worth considering.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know
Hey
what,
guys,
Rob? Go ahead.
hey guys, this is Larry in Denver.
Hey, Larry.
I'm building a CX4, plan number 142, and I'm right at the windscreen canopy stage on my project, and have thought long and hard about how I want to do that. But one of the things that I thought would be interesting, and I got this idea from one of the guys that's in the hangar that I'm building my aircraft in. He has a RV6, and he also has a 1946 Swift. And the way he did his was he actually ran a piece of aluminum from the center back all the way to the front. So, and he made it look really nice. But that canopy is so solid, it's just amazing. By just putting that center brace in it, it really strengthened everything up.
Interesting.
Probably give you a little shade, wouldn't it?
Well, the one he has is only about maybe 2 inches wide.
2 inches.
But yeah, it would give you a tiny bit of shade. But the other thing too is that it kind of really sets the canopy off. And I noticed that my canopy, which I got, with the aircraft when I bought it from the gentleman that I purchased it from in North Dakota, I noticed it was very floppy, and it really kind of, I just didn't like the way that it seemed that it was going to be. So I'm still working on that, but that's kind of the way I'm going to approach it. The guys in the hangar have always done theirs with no rivets or screws. It's all Sikaflex. So they don't use any kind of screws through the canopy.
Yeah, no mechanical.
They don't use any kind of mechanical holding to it.
Yeah, interesting.
They do everything with glue, Sikaflex, or something like that.
Is that
some of the boating,
like windshield adhesive?
Yeah, it is. And they have another one too. They use it in the boating industry. It's called 5200. It's made to actually use underwater. It's amazing stuff. But anyway, that's kind of the direction that I'm going with mine.
Very interesting.
Well, I had a windshield put in the car, and the guy said that adhesive they use is 7,000 pounds, I guess, per square inch. He said you could never kick a windshield out.
Yeah.
Norm, do you know what Rob Flood did around his canopy frame with the canopy attachment? Because per the plans, you got bolts coming through, and you got exposed. You know, he's smooth on the inside.
I actually wanted to somehow show a picture. I don't know if you guys want me to share screens.
Yeah, if you want to, go for it.
Try it.
Okay, how do I, let me give me a second here. Why don't you help guide me through this so I don't screw it up?
There should be a little button on the bottom that says share, and it'll prompt you with, if you have, like I have a couple monitors hooked up, so it'll prompt me and tell me, you know, do I want to choose this monitor or that one? Or it'll show you individual applications. So you can choose if you just want your browser or just want a photo app or something like that.
Can you see it?
Yeah, there we go. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, let me wrap. These are the pictures I sent John. He was talking about how he was doing this, so I decided to show him pictures of what happened. This is at Copper State in Arizona. As you can see, Rob used, that black is steel, and it looks like he used countersunk screws. He also decided to not use the standard plans suggested canopy latch. I believe, if I remember correctly, he had a friend who was building a Zenith design somewhere, like next door, and they had some extra parts. So he was able to get like some kind of latching mechanism like this from a friend who got it from Zenith, I believe. I could be wrong, but the guy in Sacramento, John, is planning to do the same thing, but he's designing his own, or using an RV design to come up with his own design for his DX5. So this is Rob's plane from, you know, port quarter view. You can see how it looks nice. Okay, that's a close-up of one corner where he, you know, not to put him out there, but I think he screwed up the cutting of his windshield. If you look at some of the pictures on his Facebook page, it looks like there's a huge gap down there. So, you know, and it was one of the first ones built, so, you know, he can be forgiven. But anyway, he was able to fix the problem by putting a piece of aluminum where the acrylic should have been, that he accidentally cut out. I'm not sure exactly, but that's what it looks like he did. Okay, there's another picture of his plane. Side note, he used the Revmaster carb, not the Zenith, so he had a lot of work to do on his cowling. But it looks nice. And by the way, you guys already know this if you looked at his Facebook page. That's a wrap, not paint.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sharp-looking plane.
Yeah, there's the windshield retainer.
Norm, does that wrap look as good in person as it does in the photos here?
Frankly, I think it's a matter of opinion.
Okay.
Some people love it and they'll say, "Oh, it looks like paint."
Yeah.
I think you know what? This is the thing. For me personally, I think it looks fine.
Yep.
For me personally, I'm more worried about wear and tear in the future, long-term, you know, reliability and cosmetics, you know, few years down the line.
In Arizona, I would worry about the UV protection, or, you know, UV type stuff on that wrap. I would think it'd burn it up pretty quick, especially black.
That's what I was worried about as well.
Those the Sonex guys that are wrapping their planes, they're saying you got to redo it every 3, 4, 5 years, but that it's a fairly easy job. But that, I don't know, that seems like a pretty big hassle.
Well,
yeah,
money
they're
too.
getting a few years out of
Okay,
it.
I'm going to stop sharing. Let me make sure I don't do this up.
There should be a button that says stop share. Yep, there you go.
Great. The last thing I want to say about it is, you know, I think it depends on what you're going after as far as looks or utility. I mean, I'm probably going to have bare aluminum in the beginning, just because I want to get flying for, you know, faster instead of worrying about the paint job too much. But some guys I think there's some guys out there that they love changing paint jobs and making changes to their plane. So I think a wrap would be fine, because once after 3 or 4 years, you decide, hey, I'm out of my black hot rod phase. I'm going to try some kind of jaunty red and blue paint job, or I'm going to try to make it look like a warbird. You can do whatever you want. So that's the last thing I'm going to say about it. Use your own judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those Sonex guys, a lot of them are saying they can wrap a plane in a couple of days. You know, that it's a pretty quick job once you get good at it.
Cheaper too than paint. usually, depending on whether you use an aircraft painter or do it yourself.
Well,
But
and the other thing
but the
about it
mess
is
and the
it
fumes.
weighs less than paint.
Oh, does it? Oh, interesting.
It does weigh less than paint. Yes.
That's interesting.
I did
That's
not.
really
So do you have to unwrap the whole thing then when you go redo it? Or do you just go right over the old stuff?
Well,
think-
I did some research into it. I'm thinking about I'm planning on wrapping my CX4. And yeah, it weighs less and it's fairly, from what I understand, it's not terribly difficult to get off. I mean, it won't come flying off when you're in the air, but it will come off.
Is it?
So,
yeah, I'm kind of curious. I have a friend up in Chicagoland that he has a vinyl graphics shop, and I talked with him a little bit about it. And I don't know if it's the same, if they're using the same stuff that they use to wrap trailers and trucks and stuff like that for businesses or what. But I don't know. That'd be kind of interesting to find out, to hear, from somebody who's done it or redone it, to hear their opinions. If you guys think of know anybody, get them on the next call. That'd be kind of fun to hear about.
Yeah.
well, the interesting part of it is that one of the guys that works in our hangar is he's a race car guy, and he says they used to use paint. They don't use paint on race cars anymore at all. It's all wrapped.
Hmm.
So
But none of
when,
last.
when you're watching NASCAR or the dragsters, those cars are all wrapped.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to do an experiment with an alternative way to attach my canopy. I'm going to experiment with 3M VHB tape on the frame, and then attach the plexiglass to that. And that's what they use for all these skyscrapers with window exterior. They put VHB tape on there, and they just slide the glass on there, and it stays. So I'm going to do an experiment with that. And the other thing I thought is I'm making my canopy a little taller to give me a little bit more headroom. And so that might make the windscreen have to stick up a little bit, like what happened to him.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it works. It's a good theory.
Yeah.
Keep us posted on how that works.
I try.
Hey, one more thought on that rap thing. They're not to, there's a Sonex podcast. One of the guys I think is in Denver, and he did the 3M like weekend workshop, to kind of start up a business doing wraps, and he wrapped his Sonex. Anyway, they did about an hour and a half podcast just about wrapping planes in general. If you go find that Sonex podcast and just track down that one episode on wraps, there's a lot of good info in there from those guys, because they've done a few airplanes now, and they kind of shared everything they know about it. So
Cool.
Very cool. I'll try to look that up and attach that podcast in the YouTube post when I put this video up. So
okay,
cool.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll look for it right now. I'll track it down and give you the link here.
Yeah, if you could either stick it in the chat or shoot me an email with it, that'd be fantastic. Yeah. Okay. So what other questions or topics do you guys have interest in going over?
Well, before you leave the canopy latch issue, I've got the original design, which is just and David made that one for me too, just the inside thumb actuated lever. There's nothing on the outside to open it, and it's lasted, but it's getting looser and looser. Has anybody come up with a real good solution on a CX4? Maybe it could be used on 5s and 7s too, that latches from the inside a little longer, cam or something, and then a handle, and then one on the outside too that a guy can either make or buy from somebody.
I'm not familiar with anyone who's doing that.
I'm still
Okay.
I'm about 3 weeks away from the research stage on that, because that's a big, from what I've heard, that seems to be a big topic, canopy latches. So the 2 CX5s I've seen, or that people are working on that I know of, they're using a different design than what's in the plans. It seems like the one that everybody really likes is the kind that where you rotate, a pin goes in both fore and aft of the canopy and locks into place. So everybody seems to be wanting that. And just like you said, a lot of people prefer to having a kind of latch or mechanism that you can open from the outside as well as inside. That's for the latch on the side. As far as the top one, I know what you mean. I'm not sure how that's going to work. The point I'm making is that I don't think anybody has an idea, but everybody's exploring that and trying to figure it out. It looks like John Elisale sending me the plans from an RV4, so he's going to be basically hijacking the design from an RV4 to use the canopy to use on his canopy latch on his CX5.
With the sliding canopies, has anybody come up with a twist to it to keep the rain out if you happen to go somewhere for a few days and have it tied down? That would be a potential issue.
Yeah, get a cover, a vinyl cover, a canvas cover or something. Make it fit around the I don't know. There's just too many places it can leak around that whole outside edge there.
Very good. Sorry, I'm just taking some notes. I thought I'd try to be a little more professional about these YouTube videos and posting links and details and stuff for people when they're going through and watching these. So seems like people are enjoying them. So I'm enjoying talking with you guys. So, and I'm learning stuff. So this is good. But anyways, just taking a couple notes there.
Yeah.
Hey Ben, I gotta go. This is Doug from Alexandria. Thanks a lot for having this. I've learned a lot, and I hope you keep going on it. And hope to share more with you in the future. So thanks again, Ben, for putting this together.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thanks for joining, Doug. Yeah, and I know it's about 11, so we'll probably cut it off before too long. But anybody else have any other pressing topics of discussion? Or the other thing would be, I was thinking, I don't know if you guys want to kind of focus on one topic or something each week, or so we can kind of put that out there in the future so people know, oh yeah, I really want to hear about this, or I don't know. Any thoughts about what to go through or agenda items? I'm just kind of leaving it as an open forum for now. But
well, there's definitely one that, this is Larry in Denver. There's definitely one I would like to hear about.
Sure.
And that is fuel tank. I've done a fair amount of research into that, and my latest idea or latest thought was to do as a couple of the other guys have done, and that is to use a dragster tank, a fuel cell. And so that's kind of the way I'm leaning right now, unless somebody has some better ideas. I know the guy who he built the original tank. My understanding was he built 3 of them, and none of them worked. So
gotcha. Yeah, I know there's
some. Yeah, my idea is to use that either from Summit or Jegs. I see you got them up here on the screen.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one people are using, but something like this. I just figured I'd pull it up so people kind of. I think most of the guys are using the I guess I don't know if they're poly or whatever the material is, but
yeah, it's
plastic.
It's the black. Yeah, it's the black kind.
Yeah, I'm not sure what these are. Without foam, plastic, I guess it says, but yeah.
Maybe.
But something like, I don't know, something like that, I guess. But Adrian, have you looked at these? I know you were talking about extending your fuel cell. I don't know if you've seen anything like that.
No, I'm just curious now you said it. I'm actually looking at it, yeah. What's that? What volume are they?
These are fairly small ones, but 9 by
4 gallon.
4 gallon. So it's a little bit small, but I mean, they have, I know, I built a 1953 F100 pickup kind of hot rod a few years back. And I used one of these that was like a 18 gallon or 16 gallon or something. And it was easy, convenient, and the price was right. So, but they have all different styles. They have fuel pickups and everything.
Shapes, sizes, yeah.
It's kind of, there's a bunch of different places.
Yeah, the other one that I was looking at the 12 gallon one. But in my research, I also ran across a J3 Cub tank. Now, that obviously is metal, but it looked like that would fit right in there, and but they want $500 for it, and that's a little steep for me.
Mm.
Like that?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, look at the price on that one.
Yeah. Well, it's Univair. But on the other hand, Larry, this is I think Univair aren't they in the Denver area?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, so you save shipping, you know. Pay $300 more, but you save shipping.
Yeah. So I think I'm still going to go in the direction of the dragster fuel cell. The 12-gallon one looks like it would be very close fit. I might have to change up the brace that's right behind the panel. I might have to change that up a little bit to get it to fit in there, but it would give me 12 gallons, and that's really nice.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's sealed. You aren't going to have leakage issues. As long as you don't have a screw sticking into it or a rivet or something rubbing it. But I mean, it's kind of It's kind of a really elegant, simple solution. Is this the one you're looking at with that bottom sump area, or?
Yes.
Okay.
It is. Now, the other thing that I've had to struggle with, or at least give thought to, is, and I've heard pros and cons, is whether to put foam in it.
Oh, for sloshing, yeah. I've seen some of these have foam. I think in them, buy it separately. So
I'm a little bit leery of that, but yet, some of the guys say yes and some say no.
Well,
so I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with that.
I thought the idea of that bottom sump area here, this dropped area, I thought the idea of that was that then you wouldn't have the issue with sloshing as much because it would be kind of held down. But maybe if you have some, it sounds like you have some drag race guys near you. Maybe talk to them, or maybe some circle track guys that might know or have some experience.
Yeah, one of the guys in the hangar, I've already talked to him about it. He thought it was a great idea.
I meant as far as the foam goes.
The foam. He was a little leery of the foam too. He said, it's one thing. He said the problem is that getting it in and out is not necessarily going to be really easy once you build a plane. And he said it's a little bit different than a dragster. He said, you're replacing stuff all the time on a dragster. But he says if the stuff deteriorates, then it's nothing but trouble. So I guess I'm kind of leaning not to use the foam.
Dan, can I jump in?
Yeah.
If I can give you my 2 cents, we were looking at fuel tanks before because I had fuel leaks, and I talked to Summit and also was talking to some other CX4 people. The big key thing, a lot of the people didn't want to go to the Summit tanks is because the plans show that they had the angle of aluminum at the front and the back for it to mount in on those rails that are cross members in your fuselage. But the thing is, on those Summit tanks, you can manufacture cradle straps that'll go underneath the tank and hold it in. The top aluminum that goes over that area would hold that tank down also. So it ain't going to move. And as far as that foam that's in the tanks, I worked pretty extensively with it in military, and I think if you found it, it'd be probably cost prohibitive. But if you're doing acrobatics and stuff, that's what you need. But if you're not doing abrupt changes and stuff, you're not going to move it. And also, it's not going to slosh forward and aft. And that's my 2 cents.
Well, I think you're right. And that was some of the thoughts that I had too. They actually make the hold down straps for those. You can buy them right there from Jegs or from Summit. And that, that's worth something too. So they
also,
they make
you got a sealed composite type tank. It is not going to leak on you. and they've got a tank that will fit the 4. I did some real hard researching on this. The only problem I had was the top part of the tank attaching to the metal that goes over the top of it. Maybe having to do some modifications there. But it is, there you go. There you go. That's the way to go, Ben.
Yeah.
It's a bad picture, but yeah, it's the idea. Yeah, that's what those. And if you remember on the cells themselves, they have those notched areas, the way they're molded. So it just sits right down in those grooves here.
Yes.
So it's kind of wonderful. It kind of captures it in three axes. So.
Well, you can also get them that have the sender unit for the gauge built right into it as well.
Yeah, if you look at I think they're called Pro Street ones. Those are the ones where for like the cars that are they maybe drag race, but they also drive on the street here. Pro Street. I think these have the fuel sending unit. Right in them.
Yes.
Yeah, right here, sending unit. Let's see. I don't know if it's in there. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't say what sending unit. It says mount that, product details. Oh, here you go. Yeah, sender ohm range, 0 ohms empty, 90 ohms full. So yeah, so you just set up your EFIS or whatever with that. So
the gauge that I'm going to use is from P-Light, and you can get it so that it'll work with almost any sender.
Yeah, yeah. Those are good. I was watching
those gauges from P-Light. They have a sending unit that measures the weight of the fuel too. That they can. That's what I've got in mind. Is just measures how many gallons of fuel by weight, and then it converts to. So that should be interesting to see if that works good.
Yeah, I did see that, and that's a really good idea. Those senders are not necessarily cheap, but you only have to buy it once.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see if they work good.
Yeah, are you going to use that?
I have them built in.
Okay, good.
And the gauges show both tanks, and it's digital, and it's a small gauge, fits on my instrument panel. Like you said, though, it's an expense.
Yeah.
How much are you talking about?
It's one of the things that you have to ask.
All right.
I guess the senders are around. What would you say, about $100 each?
Okay.
Oh yeah, maybe more.
Similar to that, and you have to talk to the guy out there. He's kind of went through a fire, so I don't know if he's still in business.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because that was that was like last summer or something, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, bummer.
I thought that was cool to be able to measure the weight of the fuel and get a digital output.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
well, one of the things that I really like about the P-Light gauge is that it tells you how much range you have left.
Yeah.
And so you get a lot of information out of that gauge. It's pretty cool the way it works.
I know. That's great. It's just not cheap.
Yeah, I think that's a good topic, maybe, Ben, for like another one of these meetups, is not only the fuel tanks, but just fuel systems in general.
Yeah,
and I think that's one of those things I think that we all read about. I mean, so many of the accidents that do happen in this experimental world are due to fuel issues, and but I've seen a lot of the discussions on the email list about this stuff, and I've kind of, just because I built my fuel tanks, but I'm nowhere near building my fuel system. But that's one of the things I have on my list to kind of come back and actually study up on that and figure out the best way to go about it. It seems like there are a lot of opinions out there, so that might be worth.
One of the things that's interesting to me is my original plans. I have number 142, plan 142. And one of the things that was interesting to me was it's using basically a gravity feed system, and wow, I would love to have a gravity feed with a backup fuel pump. And so that's something that I'm trying to consider as well. And I mean, I like simple. You know, that's what I'm trying to do, is make the system as simple as possible and yet make it as bulletproof as possible. So, yeah.
Talking about the fuel questions, I know Greg had yeah, great. Okay, you're still on. You'd sent me a video. I was going to see if I could find it and share the link to it. But if you want to, maybe toss it in the chat, or maybe you already have. Greg put together a fuel system, basically a bench test of his fuel system to check out the pump and some other things, and to see how it works if he has starvation, if you know, like between switching tanks and things like that. It's kind of an interesting video, or a couple of them actually. So yeah, that'd be good maybe to walk through. Maybe we can play the video and you can talk about it next week or something. I don't know if you'll be on or not, Greg, but that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I certainly plan to be. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's.
Do you have a way to? Do you have a way to play it and share it? I just got my phone.
Yeah. I actually haven't done it before, but I know I know you can play videos and share the audio and stuff through the webcast. So yeah, I can do that if you're just on your phone. Yep. Totally fine.
Okay.
Hey Greg, do you have that on YouTube or?
I have Google Drive. I could email a link to like the groups.io.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be good if you don't mind. That'd be
I'll do that.
Yeah, and then it would be fun next weekend to have a chance just to kind of talk through it with you too. Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool.
So basically what it is, it's just the, well, actually, let me, since it's like sitting right here next to me, let me switch to my other camera if I can. Are you looking at the floor now?
Yep. We're looking at the floor. Some buckets.
Okay, so here's here it is. This is my fuel tank right here, and then I hooked that up to, and I apologize, I'm just throwing stuff around here, but this, I'm at the end of my phone cord too. So here's the Facet 40108 pump. I put a little fuel filter in it, and then I hooked this up to here. The lines were straight at the time. This is my fuel tank, and then it went up through this, and here's how I back pressured it. And then I put a pressure gauge on this T, and it came into this. And yeah, there's my pressure gauges down there. And, so that was simulating my outflow. And then I had a battery hookup, but that's the gist of it. And I would change the back pressure on the outflow of the pump with that valve, to increase the pressure. And then I could measure the flow rate based on that. And so it was really, just taking a look at the operation of the fuel pump itself.
Yeah, it'd be good to go through, and we can kind of talk about that next week. Maybe get some questions answered and that sort of thing as best we can, and go through other systems on the CX4 and the CX5 and the CX7. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I took that down as a note. That's a good suggestion, Jeff.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks,
great.
Greg. Yeah. All right,
hey
guys.
I got now. So I'm gonna hop off, but good to see you all, and we'll see you next weekend.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I need to drop too here. I gotta go and take care of my fatherly duties. So, and then get back to the job.
Well, if you guys are leaving, so am I.
I'm out of here. So, no, good talking to you guys. Good to see everybody. So, hopefully,
Nice to see you guys.
If you have any topics that you want to make sure we hit, just shoot me an email or something this week, or say something on Groups.io, and we'll try to cover that next week. So, cool. But thanks for joining, everybody.
Thanks.
Have a good
Thanks,
week.
man.
Guys.
Take care.
All right.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks, Ben.
Bye, guys.